Namaste. Welcome to episode 8 of Vicharsthal. And it just made me realize that, oh my God, I've reached the 8th episode. It seems like just yesterday when I got this idea in my mind, to do a series like this where, we don't just talk about somebody's journey, but we also learn from each of the, everyday stars that we've been talking to. And so I have another star with me today, and she is so special for me, not just because she's doing inspiring work, but she's a friend, a dear friend, and somehow there have been a lot of parallels in our journey. So she's here today to talk to us about a very important topic, and today's topic is sustainable living. I feel it is so sad that Mother Earth gives us everything, yet we don't give back as much. And I think the thing is, it doesn't even fit somewhere, in our scheme of priorities, and that is what I felt very strongly that yes, one episode of Vicharsthal has to be dedicated to this particular cause, and who better than Kalpana Manivanan to talk to us about it. So let's hear from the expert herself on how we all can do better towards the cause, how we can be better, I think, children of the Mother Earth. So yes, let me get her on stream. Hi Kalpana, welcome to Vicharsthal. So good to see you.
Hi, Anupama. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes.
Glad to see you today.
Yeah, I think this was one. So I must tell you all that catching hold of Kalpana is very difficult because she's doing great work. She's always busy, which is wonderful. And so I think I should now make this joke that Kalpana ko pakadna mushkil hi nahi namumkin hai. So
No.
yes, I'm very glad that finally she's talking. So for the benefit of everybody, I'll just quickly introduce Kalpana to you all. So Kalpana is an urban organic farmer and a sustainability coach. As a new age farmer, she's trying to change the perspective about urban farming. She conducts online workshops and mentorship programs to help people start living a sustainable lifestyle. She also teaches farming to school students. Through her journey, she wants to change the narrative about self-sustainability in an urban scenario. In November 2019, Kalpana was conferred with the Karamveer Chakra Award Silver, which is a global civilian honor given by International Confederation of NGOs in association with the United Nations. She has also been featured for her work in numerous leading magazines, newspapers, and online platforms of India, like The Better India and Femina, to name a few. So thank you once again, Kalpana.
It's a pleasure, and you have really given me a very glowing review. There is no such thing. I mean, I'm just doing what wanted to do. I think so. That's a
I
big pleasure
know.
for me
Yeah,
to be
true.
able to do that. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so
And I
much
know
for
Kalpana
having
is
me.
always very humble about her achievements. And I think that is what makes you special, Kalpana, because I think that, ultimately, if we all are, the way you look at it, just like, the way you said now that I just do what, I feel strongly about. I think if all of us, focus on that, it will be so much better. And I'm sure today we will get to learn a lot from you. So Kalpana, I want to start from the start because the show's concept, as I always say, is to take inspiration from your ideation. So how that whole ideation thing came about. So of course, we all in our lives have different causes, which we feel strongly about, and each of us, somehow take to a certain cause. So when is it that you realize that environment, farming, it means so much to you, so much that you actually dedicated your life to it? So yeah, I mean, if you could just talk a little bit about how it happened in the first place.
Okay. So I think most of us, I don't think we can pinpoint a particular,
Right.
particular thing that happened, a particular incident that really, shifted everything. But I would say I was always a little conscious towards the environment. Like you said,
Okay.
all of us are drawn towards a particular, few of the causes which
Right.
are more, than the
Yes.
other things. But so something like that. So I was always into it as a mother, as an individual, as a science teacher. uh, you know it actually, I was able to see more and more of the things that are happening around us. And sometimes I would be motivated and inspired to do things in the environment field. Like, we would go for lake cleanups, and we would do painting of walls in the public areas, or we go plant gardens and things like that. But that would just be a few off things, and then finally we'll get back to life. And
Right.
things carry on, like life happens and then we just,
Correct. Correct.
so what I realized was sometimes though I was motivated, I ended up, after coming back, I ended up feeling really agitated and, looking at the humongous problem that was in front of us. And I would always think, what is this one small, activity that I did right now is going to change anything, right? So I think
Right.
most of us think like that, because when the problem is too huge, we always think that, this one small thing, me not carrying a cloth bag instead of one plastic bag, how is it going to really make a difference, right? And that is
Right.
where we all go back to being, the usual way, and then that just keeps adding to problems rather than,
Yes.
being part of a solution. So I always felt, so that is, I think, I, like everybody, I also felt that most times, like, what I'm doing is not enough, and even if I do one-off things, it's not going to help. So, I would always go back to that, and then again, one fine day I'll be bogged down
Right.
by guilt. And so what really changed for me was, just, I think it's one fine day I just got fed up of thinking, I mean, having this mindset that, no, what am I, what I'm, a minuscule thing that I am doing as an individual going to make any change at all. From that, I just thought that, what, I am not going to be part of a problem anymore.
Right.
Let me be part of the solution, right? No matter how small the effect is going to be, how minuscule, how completely not effective in a large scheme of things, but still, for me, I will feel that I am not part of the problem anymore, right? So what we all can only do is, change ourselves. We can't change
Yes.
the world, like we all think that we are changing the world, we're change makers. The first thing we have to do is first, try and do what we can do, because we only have control of doing what we can do. So that was my thing. I know I would always think, maybe mobilizing a huge crowd to clean up lakes and oceans. That's a huge, big scale things that we
Yes.
should be doing. This small thing that I'm doing at home is not going to make that is what stopped me. And that one thing that you're talking about is probably when I reached a point when I said, no, enough is enough. I'm not going to keep telling that, the world is not changing. Oh, poor me.
Yes.
What am I going to help? So from that mindset, I just said, okay, I'm not going to be part of the problem. Let me just do what I can do, and just that's it. No
Right.
agendas, nothing, just started doing that. So I think that is what
That's
shifted for
lovely.
me. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think that realization is very important, actually. I think that's when you feel that, okay, yes, it is time to do something. So, from there, how exactly then did you give it the shape of Kalpa Vriksha Farms, in terms of like giving it some, because I'm sure, like, you might be thinking of, how I can now take this forward. So, yes, what was the vision behind it, and how did you then get around to starting Kalpa Vriksha Farms?
Okay. So, having this small farm, growing your own food, this was like my little utopian dream that I used to have, and
Yes.
I would always dream about it. Sit on a weekends with a cup of tea, and then, just reminisce, dream, and think, okay, one day, somewhere down the line that would happen. But then like I said, I just realized, I'm not going to sit around for that one day. And, so let me just, so we had a small piece of land, and we would always be wondering, that, okay, retirement time, kuch karenge, something later, and things like that. But then I thought, okay, no, because I had realized that I wanted to just start doing whatever I wanted to see in the world, right? Like whatever I would dream, saying, if everybody could just have a garden, if everybody could do this. When I started saying everybody could do this, do that, and, reduce plastics or whatever it is, that I wanted everybody to do it. I thought, let me first do it, right? So that's where
Yes.
I started with the farm. I said, okay, I'm just going ahead with, realizing my dream of having this little vegetable garden and trying to grow all kinds of fruit trees and vegetables and whatever we require. And my idea was basically to become self-sufficient in my needs. I just wanted to first, before you go and talk to everybody, because when my students also, I will say, we should all have a garden, we should grow our vegetables, but I need to first do it myself and see, is it even possible, or are we just simply dreaming about something which can't happen? So
Right.
unless I prove it to myself that this is possible, and that too living in a city basically. So for me, yes, people who are in the outskirts and living in the rural areas are doing this very much, but for city folks, I think there is always this little roadblock or mindset block that this can't happen. Urban and rural divide is there. Like, farming has, it's always associated with rural living,
Right. Right.
and it
Yes.
has, so that is always, I could see that very very clearly. So I thought, okay, let me just try that and see if that can happen. Let me try doing. So I looked at it as going ahead with the weekend, being a weekend farmer, because that's what could fit into my
Yes.
lifestyle at that point of time. Kids education, we were working and all that. So that is how it started, and I thought that, okay, I'm going to start this farm and start learning what I mean. I didn't know anything about it much, except for having a balcony garden and the few things that usually everyone knows. Beyond that, to have a farm set up and to have to do things on the farm, I had no idea. So I definitely, I just plunged into it. I started finding resources. I read and read and read, and I'll make plans. I had kind of I would say I didn't find a lot of things, but I tried to make do with whatever is available. I did not wait for the perfect moment when everything will come together and then I'll start one day. So
Yes.
I quit that in the beginning itself. The minute I realized that I'm just going to go ahead with it, no more contemplating on it. I'm just going to get on to the groundwork. I said, okay, I'm just going. I don't care if I fail. I don't care if doesn't work out, because of course, being an amateur, it will take me time. So I gave myself that grace. It will happen, and let me go ahead. So that's I would say that is all that I planned. I just planned to prove myself, or show for myself that I can do these things. Right? What are the things I could
Yes.
do to live a self-sustainable life? So I started out with, I just had one idea: ki I'll just grow vegetables. I'll become as self-sufficient as possible. How many things can I reduce from buying from a supermarket? So that became my goal, right? So that was my first very initial plan. There was no big vision or anything. The vision, of course, that itself is a big vision, because to eliminate that, not buying things from grocery stores, what are the things I can reduce, was a huge thing for me to start. So that started everything. And that's from there I started learning how to make my own natural cleaners, so that I can completely
Yes.
replace that. I can stop
Right.
buying not just vegetables and fruits, but I can stop buying these cleaners, which are a big part of our household. We buy like at least 10 different types of cleaners for
Wow.
our homes,
Wow.
so that
Wow.
we can reduce. And then I started making soaps, because I felt like every day we are using soap, and our skin is the largest organ in our body, which absorbs
Yes.
all the chemicals that's there in the soap. No matter how much they say it's a medicated soap and has this many herbs and stuff, I think if you read the label, you will be astonished. So that is one thing. And then I slowly started cutting down on processed foods. The thing that we would take it for granted, like just buying bread was a regular thing in my house, because kids loved and it's convenient. So I don't like things like that, pasta or anything, all those things that we buy, sauces. So that became my next. So as and when I kept ticking off a particular thing, as I moved on, I started adding more to it. So I think that's how, and slowly, I don't know, somewhere I think things started falling into place, and
Right.
it just led me to where it is today. It really
Yes.
wasn't this, in the beginning, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true, true. I think at the beginning we don't really, I mean, I relate to it a lot that at the beginning we don't imagine, right? Like what it's going to become. Like at the beginning, I think we just focus on, okay, this is what we want to do. And yeah, I'm sure you might have never imagined, that today,
Because
whatever you.
I think things evolve, right? Like
Yes,
as we go
exactly.
ahead with our journey. And I think for anyone who starts out not with like a business prospect or anything, they just start doing what they want to do, or a passion in life. I think for everyone's journey is quite similar, because they just do what they want to do, and then
Yes,
that just takes them forward, shows them, opens a few doors, closes a few doors, and then you realize what's the best way for
right,
you
right.
to move forward. How can you help others in this journey? That comes a little, once you are a little comfortable, and you are able to be in a position to guide people, or tell them, this is where I failed, this is where how I succeeded, and this is what works and this doesn't work. Then you are in a position to help people, because when people approached me to guide them in something, that's how the next step happened. So it wasn't there in the
Right.
beginning. In the beginning, it was all about how can I do things for myself first. That's how it starts. And like every dream, I think it just evolves over a period of time. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree completely. And, that's very inspiring to know, Kalpana, like how it all started. And, it all sounds wonderful. I mean, it sounds that, wow, that was great. But I'm sure doing it is not easy at all, like you said, to not buy from the stores and, to make everything at home. So I just wanted to know that, did you have self doubts at the beginning? Where were there moments when, those doubts crept in, and did you face certain kind of hurdles at the beginning? And yes, how did you overcome the doubts or the hurdles?
uh, I mean, actually, that would be I would say, self doubt is something that plagues all of us, of course.
Yes.
But because I started out with not having a big agenda or a big dream,
Mm.
that really helped me, because
Yes.
I didn't see anything as a hurdle. That's what, because that's the first time in my life. Because always I'm a, I would say, I don't even want to say the word perfect, perfect or perfectionist, but I think I was in the, in the previous life, my past life, I was that person
Right.
who would, I wouldn't even venture into something if I can't do it perfectly. So it used to be that very strong for me, and it really, I think this journey had really, made it
Right.
very clear for me that, I cannot sit around waiting for perfection. And it is actually, such a farce, and such a, it's actually the insecurity. I think I've heard many people say that perfectionism is nothing but disguised, the insecurity disguised as perfection. Because we are insecure about doing certain thing, we keep saying that I want it to be perfect, right? I don't want people to see the imperfectness in
Yeah.
whatever I'm
Right.
doing. So I think somewhere, because I completely removed that part, like I'm proving something or I'm showing the world some, nothing like that, right? So for me, it was like I'm doing something. So it doesn't matter, if I fail or don't, are not able to succeed, because there is no such thing for me as failure or success in this. So I'm just
Correct.
learning. I'm going to do what I feel like doing. I might fail. It doesn't matter. So when I started like that, I think I wouldn't say. I came across hurdles, because hurdles, of course, they were there. It was a completely new field for me. I had
Yes.
no prior knowledge. I did not have a exact. I mean, like what I have come to be today. I did not have somebody like this as a role model. Like I could just follow in their footsteps and reach that point that I wanted to go. So I kept trying that. I'll get bits and pieces of information, something from here, something from there, but not like a package, right? So I didn't have somebody exactly who was doing the things that I wanted to do, and I could look up to, and I could just maybe follow them, and then reach the point that where I wanted to go. So everything was very scattered. It was there, resources were there, but I couldn't hit it. Didn't hit my eyes, so I had to
Yes.
really struggle, and really struggle and find and experiment. And a lot of times there were a lot of easy solutions probably there, but it just, because it didn't hit my eye, I was doing it the most complicated way, roundabout way, to finally arrive at that. So those
Right.
were the hurdles, I would say, where the resources weren't readily available, or I was not able to find them at the right time. So it took me a
Correct.
longer time for me to break each of those hurdles and move forward. So that's what I would say. Finding the right people,
Mm.
inspiration, or learning how to do things that I wanted to learn myself. There was no one like that. I didn't find. Probably there are, but I just didn't find them, and so that made it a little difficult for me to move forward. But yeah, it took time, but yeah, I could have done it
Yeah.
faster. So that didn't happen. That's the only hurdle I would say.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel
Right.
everything is a learning and a stepping stone. I
Correct.
don't
Correct.
really
Right.
consider that. Yeah.
Yes. And I
So,
think it's
and what
always
was
a
your?
trial and error also, right? Like, I mean, in the sense, like you're saying, you figure out something, then so it's all a part of the learning process. So I'm sure looking back, you feel it was all important at the end of it. Like,
Really,
that's
really,
how
yeah.
to do things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think if it was given to me on a platter, I wouldn't have appreciated it, right? And I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what are the mistakes that somebody could do. So, like
Right.
now,
Right.
when I take my classes and workshops, and the most important thing everybody says that you always tell us what are the mistakes you did and what usually people do,
Yes.
right? Beginners,
Yes.
where and all you would do mistakes, and then I tell them, see, this is the one that you'll usually do. Don't do that. Do this, right? Because I did it. On behalf of you, I have made all the mistakes. So you don't have to do this. You could
Right.
do that. So they really feel, because you're not learning from some big guru or somebody who has, like, done everything. I mean, have never made a mistake in life. Not like that. Somebody who's just like you, who has learned the same things and had this. So that really makes it more relatable for them, and I think that helps really. And I feel making mistakes was really a very huge, very important part of the learning. That has
Yeah,
helped
yeah.
me to
Of
see.
course, it is. It always
Yeah.
is. I agree
I think
completely.
your other question. What was that? Something else
No,
you
I
asked. No,
was,
I hope I don't miss.
one was of course about the hurdle, and the other was about self-doubt. So I think you did mention that,
Okay.
doubt. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think slowly and steadily I learned from mistakes, whatever hurdles, like you said, it was in the form of, like I said, couldn't find the right resources, and couldn't find the right things. So that was I think the major hurdle, I would say. I did not find putting in hard work was never a hurdle for me. I was doing so much more physical work than I was doing as when we were opposed to being
Yes.
in a regular job, day job. This was really exhausting, out in the
Mm.
sun, and being used to this air conditioned rooms and stuff. It was definitely, but I don't even see that as a hurdle in any way. For me, it was only, I was just so motivated to learn, and do things that didn't really seem, so that I'm not actually telling them as one of my hurdles. That is just part of, I knew that was that had to happen,
Mm.
and I was happy doing it. So yeah.
Right. So true, so true. So, Kalpana, coming to the topic, of course, the main topic of today's discussion, which is sustainable living. So, how do you view sustainable living in today's times? Like, if someone comes and tells you what is sustainable living, so what would you tell them? Because you are somebody who has actually practiced it. Who knows so much more than us. So, yes, I mean, because from my experience, I know that there are many myths also around it. So yeah, like how do you view it? Like, let's hear from the expert herself that, how do you view sustainable living?
The first and foremost thing I always tell, and that too, I think most of the people I kind of interact with, or people who are following me or want to learn, are city
Right.
folks, majority.
Right.
And
Right.
and for me, the reason was, my main focus was to help city folks, because they are, like, completely from ground zero. They are moving upward
Yes.
towards this lifestyle. So that is the reason why I always tell them, do not ever have these big goals for yourself, or
Mm.
never look up and say that I want to reach there. I mean, if you are at 0%, start there. So my only mantra is, do what you can, when you can, and from where you
Mm.
can. That's it. So I do actually see in most of these areas, whether it is environment consciousness, or whether it is any area where we are
Mm.
talking
Mm.
about justice, or doing the right things, there's a lot of shaming. There's a lot of judging.
Yes.
Oh, you're
Yes.
not doing it. You're not doing that.
Right.
Oh, you should be doing
Right.
it. You couldn't be doing that. So
Very.
I'm completely, I don't want that at all,
You don't
and I don't do
endorse
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I feel, even if somebody is coming to me who has literally not done anything, they're just starting from 0%. I'm completely understand, because everyone is at a different stage in our lives, and things come to us at different stages. We, and
Yes.
only when that happens, inherently, intuitively, when that comes to you, only then you get that inspiration to move
Right.
forward.
Right.
Not
Right. Right.
everybody has to be in that pace of life. There are times when you are more focused on something else, building your career and things like that. So this takes a back seat. We are young parents. Your whole focus is on your kids, and
Of course.
so there
Of
are
course.
different focus
Right.
areas for people, and it's really not fair to tell them, or say that, oh, you're not doing this or doing that. So the judging, I see a lot of that happening even on social media or everywhere. And
Yes.
first thing I want to always, when I tell them, I said, you're most welcome wherever you are, whichever stage you're doing. Never let anyone tell you that you're not doing enough, because it's your journey. You are doing whatever you can, and that should be good enough. You should pat yourself on your back. From 0 to 1%, if you have moved, if you have just started taking a cloth bag the first day, that's a great achievement. Please do it. Never think that this is like I started, right? Like I said, okay, what is this going to do? This is not a big deal. One day I don't use a plastic straw. How is it going to help the world, right?
Mm.
Change. So I
Mm.
think that is something I kept telling myself, and that is why it stopped me for the longest time from doing anything. I could have done this earlier. That's my biggest regret, that I didn't start early. But that same thing I don't want others to also, feel, because I think most
Yeah.
of us actually think that sustainable living means you should be doing this and that, and there are a lot of things,
Mhm.
constraints they
Which
put
is
for
why I
themselves.
asked this question, because, like you said, I
Yeah.
always see that there is this, and like you rightly said, it's very difficult, I think, for people to switch, right? I mean, of course, we are all used to certain things, and like you
Yeah.
said, this does take some time. So yeah, even if I feel we do little things also, yes, it is a step ahead. And like you said that start from zero and get somewhere at least. So I
Yeah.
think, of course, all of us cannot be Kalpana Manivanan, but yes, we can probably
No,
do
you
our
can be, you can be, all of us can be, and that is something I really look forward to, at least.
yeah.
But what I do keep saying is, do not ever see, don't let something, let a bigger goal or a bigger vision
Yeah.
not stop you from doing what you can today, right? Today,
Yes,
as of
yes.
today, what you can do, please do it. Don't let anyone shame you. That is one thing I keep telling them. The neighbors or your relatives or somebody, friends would say, oh, acha, okay, you are taking a cloth bag today, so the whole problem will be solved. And they like kind of do sarcasm and things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
which
I
help.
know, I
we
know
we
that.
want to be, we want to fit in, and then we don't do things, right? So I'd say,
Correct.
if that is really something that you want to do, don't let anyone bog you down, and just do what you can. And again, don't think that, okay, I'm not doing as much as her or him, so what's the point? So let me not do it at all. So let me just go back and just do whatever I was doing earlier. That's also not
Correct.
right. So
Correct.
that's what today's, like you said, the question was, today, in today's lifestyle, how can you, so that's what I say. There is, if I tell you, you can do this, you can do that, that is again telling you, okay, you're not doing enough. So that's where I keep telling, sustainable living is anything. Even if you're cooking from scratch one day, that's
Mm,
sustainable. If you're cooking more at home, that is sustainable living. If you're growing even one tomato at home, you're doing something. If you're not buying plastic, you're not carrying plastic bags, and you're encouraging more of cloth bags, you're taking water bottle from home,
right.
filled water bottle, so you don't buy it outside. Simple things. You use a handkerchief, cloth handkerchief, instead of paper napkins, or tissue papers. Small things that we don't think really, and
Yes.
it won't take us also much effort to do that, to switch over to that part. But those are things which are really something that you can do to live a very sustainable life, and that is a huge thing. I mean, it is not, don't think that it's nothing if you're doing that. Oh,
Yes.
it's been no, but it is, as collectively, let's imagine million people doing that, right? So that much more impact it will be. Never ever think that you're alone, you're the only one doing it. Imagine if everyone just thought, okay, I'll do 1% today, so million people doing that 1% is going to really make
Yes.
a huge
Yes.
collective difference, is what I want to put it forward.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sustainable
Yes.
living can be doing whatever you can
Right.
in your situation. If you are not in a position to grow vegetable, that doesn't mean you have to, it's not like you're not living sustainably. You might be doing
Correct.
something else in your in
Correct.
your own way.
Absolutely.
So that's what
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
convey.
I really get, and I think very correctly what you said. I think sustainable living is more of an attitude, from what you said. It is more of that, if you have that inclination and that right
Yeah.
kind of attitude, and you're doing whatever like say, I don't grow something at home due to different reasons, but yes, we do try to do other things. It could be waste
Right.
segregation, or it could even be, say,
Yeah.
using your own bags when you go out, like you said. So
Right.
yeah, I think it is more of the attitude. And yes, if all of us have this right attitude, especially what you said about not thinking that what change will me doing something make. You need to view it as all of us doing it will definitely bring about a change, obviously, because if there's so many people are doing small things, it makes a huge difference. So that's a great pointer there that you gave us, Kalpana. So you did talk about your workshops a little earlier in this conversation. So I just wanted you to touch upon a little on, like what is the kind of content in these workshops? Like, so are these more like awareness workshops, or, you actually teach farming through, the session? So yeah, if you could just talk a little more about what are the kind of workshops, so that if somebody watching us, if they really want to come and learn from you, so they know that, how you can actually help them. So yeah, if you could throw some light on these workshops that you do, and also for whom do you do workshops?
Okay. So actually, the I started because I think the whole idea of starting doing this workshops only came from, I was my audience, my followers, they kept sending me messages, you're doing this, why don't you teach us
Yeah.
this, so
Right.
sometimes in the beginning you keep thinking, no, you know what, I don't know whether I can, convey it or teach it, how will I do it, and things like that. And then you realize that there's so many people who want to learn, and this is your whole
Hmm.
point, right? You want to teach what you have learned. I learned from so many different sources. Now I have this space that where I can put everything together and give it to them, in a platter.
Correct.
And and maybe because of this, many people will, take it up and do it in their own homes, and make a difference. So so that really made me start. I really sat down and thought where how I can structure my workshops and courses. And then there were a lot of iterations to it. I kept going back and forth, and how would I, I always would put myself in my participants shoes and say, how will it be helpful if it is in this format
Yes.
or that format,
Okay.
how is it?
Mm-hmm.
So that is how some workshops came up. And there are currently a few things I do. There are two of my workshops which are a 5-day online workshop. The reason why it's a 5-day is I don't like doing this 1 hour, 2 hour Zoom sessions, because that literally, like you said, it's like an awareness session. And I think awareness is everywhere. There is no dearth of it. And I want to actually, my workshops, I wanted it to be such that they can just hit the ground running and
Right.
start doing
Right.
it, right? So because
Right.
I have myself attended so many events and workshops where they'll talk beautiful things, and then you come out inspired, but you don't know what to do next, right? You are
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's great, yeah, of course I would like to, but what do I do, right? How do I start?
Right.
So that
Right.
was missing from most of the things. So I wanted to fill that gap. So that was the idea. So one of my workshop, 5-day workshops, is about completely doing away with our chemical cleaners. So which means you will be, we do that 5-day workshop where there are day wise agenda where I'll teach you, different things that you could do, where you can replace all the chemical cleaners and bring 100% natural cleaners, start making it yourself. And from very simple ingredients and things that are very easily available for us
Mm.
in India, anywhere very close by. It's not exotic, something which again makes you wonder whether you can do it or not. And it's definitely not expensive. It's so cheap
Right.
and so easy.
Right.
So what
Right.
happens is when you do the workshop, not only are you going to be helping the environment. First of all, I think the first thing I want to tell is, when you talk about a sustainable living or eco-conscious living, the first thing we are doing is we are doing ourselves a favor. I really want to tell, we are not doing Mother Earth a big favor. Mother Earth can take care of herself. She will live without human beings also, if the stage comes, right? So we are not her savior. She is our savior. So that's something I keep telling it. We are not doing all this with the idea that, oh, I'm saving Mother Earth. No such thing. I'm saving myself. That's the first thing.
Yes.
As selfish as that motive is, I think that's where we all start. Our health, our family's health,
Of course. Of
that's
course.
where it starts, right? So
Right.
our
Right.
environment, if each of us take care of our home, like they say, right? If you keep your house clean, the whole society is clean, right? So it's just like
True.
that. So you
Exactly.
take care of your home, everyone takes care of their home. It transforms the whole society. So that's what I keep telling. So when you stop these chemicals, the chemicals are so notorious for affecting our gut bacteria, from affecting our gut bacteria to killing all the good microbiome that is around us, the one which is actually responsible for our
Mm.
good immunity. I think there is so much science there that people have completely, and this 99.9% germ killing spree has really messed up our lives, I would say. But we media is such that it propagates certain
Huh.
things, and we
Huh.
just
Huh. Right.
follow
Right.
it. And I think we don't do a lot of research ourselves before we believe in something is very attractive, buy this product, somebody's endorsing it, we just go and buy it without even thinking what it is
Mm.
doing to us. So I start with educating a little bit of the background, so that people are convinced that this is good, and this I should be doing this, right? Number one, that. So plus teaching them all the things. So we even I think pre-COVID I was even I was like a teacher. I'll say, okay, day one you have to do this. Okay, this is the assignment. Do
Hmm.
it and show it. So because for me it was like, everyone has a starting trouble, right? They all
Right.
have all the information. They'll take all the input. Say, Acha, one day I'll do. Later, someday I'll do, and that someday never comes. So I really tell them that. But post COVID, I think it was very difficult procuring items and all that. So that's fine. So 5-day workshops. One, at least first one is my DIY natural cleaners workshop,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
they go off. They can start off making their own cleaners from day one.
Mhm.
That is, and then I have my organic vegetable gardening workshop also, 5-day
Oh,
workshop, which is again talks about how you can not just start a garden but to sustain it, right? So for me
yeah.
it's always about sustaining it throughout. It's not like you
Mhm.
attended a workshop, you grew a couple of plants, and then they died on you, and then you don't know what
Yes.
to do about it.
Yes.
So
Right.
nothing
Right.
nothing that I teach, I want it to be like something I done it for the momentary, for that particular time being, and not being able to carry forward. So
Yeah.
the workshops generally catered to how can you move it forward, how can you make it your part of your lifestyle, going forward, like you don't stop. And then I also give them a lot of online support,
Okay.
as long as they are able to. So there is this group, and we have the support going on throughout, where they are part of the group, and they keep posting their stories, and they keep telling us how they are, where are they struggling, and what, all those doubt clearing sessions are always there. So I'm always accessible to them to clear out their doubts. So that is, those two are my 5-day workshop that I conduct. And then I have a 30-day mentorship program, which is like a month-long program, where again it's not just awareness, but it has a lot of all different areas of sustainable living, from your home, the kitchen, managing your waste,
Mm.
growing your garden, again chemical-free cleaners, and removing your processed food from your diet, how to improve your health, how to
Yes.
keep your indoor house, indoor air quality cleaner, and how can you use sustainable areas, like how can you actually audit your lifestyle, so that you can remove certain things, look at certain things, and say, okay, can I replace this, that
Okay.
kind of an exercise. So a lot of things. Plus we also do a lot of live sessions, in which I do give them a lot of information input about the existing problems, and what can you do, sort of certain things, and all pertaining to sustainable living. So throughout this 1 month program, they are given all of these things, like neatly
Mm.
packaged, and
Right.
a lot of
Right. Right.
exercises. Again, there are tasks, everyday tasks are there, that they should be completing, and they journal it, they write it. So it's a whole package. That's a 30-day mentorship program that I do. And apart from that, I had also added two of my e-courses. One is my cook from scratch course, where I just listed
No,
out
I
top
remember
10
that before. Yeah.
top 10 dishes, which we usually buy it from the stores, right?
Right.
Always, because that is something little we feel it is complicated, and but it is part of our everyday weekly checklist that we buy. So how to remove them from your shopping list, and start making them at home. So that is one thing. And then my recent one was the soap making for beginners. So though many of them are saying, you are, because I also do have this small tiny little business, soap making business, where I cater to a small group of people who buy from me. So putting
Yes.
it out was, they were like, why would you do that? That's your business and all that. But, again, there were a lot of people who wanted to learn. And, my whole idea is in my journey, what I intended out was to not, what do you say, to teach a man how to fish. Rather than to supply fish to the man, and then want them to be dependent on me all the time. That is not what I wanted, because that's the whole model. People learn something, then they sell it to people. So that is like, again, you're buying and selling and buying and selling, and you're not doing it on your own. So when you become,
Right.
and I teach you that skill, then you can continue to do it on your own without having to depend on me. So that's why that course also came. So that is an e-course that they can take it up, and they can do it at their own pace. And I give them a support, where they can, there's a community support is given for those who are enrolling in the course, so that it's not like you bought it and you just you're on your own. there is support where you can come, you can interact, you can share your queries, or if you have doubts or things like that. So there is a support given
Right.
there also. So
Lovely.
these are
Lovely.
all the things. Of course, we have also my school connectors there, where
Hmm.
I'm part of an international school where we were doing offline, actually, on the ground farming last year.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
because
I'm sure.
this year by July nothing seemed to be happening, schools were ready to reopen, and then they approached me saying, can we do this online? And we started wondering, how are we going to do this online? And I had to reimagine the whole structure of the farming curriculum that I was doing, and now it's going online very fine. So I think we just adapt to conditions,
Right. And
right?
it's so hard. I mean, just, I mean, something like farming, I'm sure it was a challenge to initially imagine doing online, because we would
Yeah,
be like, yeah, but it's wonderful that it worked out, because, that way the kids can stay connected and keep
yeah,
learning about it. Yeah, that's nice.
right.
Those are some really interesting and lovely workshops I think you're doing, Kalpana, and very useful because, see, ultimately it's all about, learning and then implementing, as you said. So I
Yeah.
think that the very fact that your workshops are so practical, I think that is wonderful. So everybody who's watching, I think if you really want to learn about sustainable living, or if you really want to truly do something, because a lot of times we want to do but we don't know how. So yes, please feel free to reach out to Kalpana, and I'm sure she will be having a lot of options for you to choose from her workshops. And also, if you all have any questions related to this topic, or anything on environment or farming, whatever it is, yeah, please feel free to post, or even if you simply just want to share a comment about us, you can do that as well. Okay, so I think that was wonderful. And so, Kalpana, like you mentioned about the school workshops, in the end, that yes, you were doing these
Yeah.
workshops, and you're still now doing it for the kids. It's I personally feel that kids are like, so, I mean, I just feel that it's so easy to teach them something, or, just that mindfulness is so much more. It reminds me of an incident. Okay. So once I was on a trip, and, a place like Vaga border, we were there, and there was a man who simply threw the plastic bottle on the road, in such a place. And then when we said that, bhaiya, wahan mat, feko, there's a dustbin, please throw it there. He didn't pay much attention, but the moment a child said it, so there was a child over there, and उसने बोला कि नहीं ऐसे नहीं कर, then I mean, I think the person felt a little embarrassed that, a child is saying this, and he ended up doing it. So, we really felt that kids can play such a huge role, I feel, in terms of, bringing this shift, and, the shift in attitude, the mindset. So, how has your experience been of, working with children? Do you also feel that, yes, they are much more receptive to the idea of sustainable living and that they learn better? I'm sure it must have been a wonderful experience. So, yeah, if you could share about, your experience with the kids.
Like you said, absolutely. That's what was going in my head when you were telling it, because it is so much easier to work with kids, because they are intuitively, I think they are like, we are all born to live in harmony with nature. I think it's this moving away from nature is a learned behavior, which is, maybe our lifestyle, maybe the pressure, or the kind of working environment, or, whatever it is that has made us, probably, cut off from what we are. But inherently, I think, so the children are still not, they are still not been completely changed or by the society yet. So they are still in that stage where, yeah, they are so intuitively
Right, right.
into this learning, and they quickly adapt to it. And the kind of things they say, and they kind of, I mean, the connection they show to nature, and, it's so heartening to actually talk to them and teach them. It would perk up my day, any day, even if I'm having a dull day, and you just interact with them, and the kind of they are so what do you say, happy to take up whatever is taught to them, and they are like so in awe of even small things, that wonder they have, the
Yes,
curiosity they
yes.
have, the kind of questions they ask, even their teachers who are a part of the class, they'll be like, I never thought of it till now like that, the question that child asked, or the way they think. It's so refreshing, I would say, to listen to their perspective. Sometimes it just makes you wonder, why didn't I ever think of that things like that. So they are very, very receptive to the whole system. I think it comes very naturally to them. I think for all of
Right.
us, if we were not conditioned the way we are, I think it would really come very naturally to
Ah,
us, and
I agree. Right. Right.
we wouldn't be. And so there are kids who would say, what, this is so beautiful, ma'am, or so nice. I want to do this. I will teach my grandfather how to do this. We have a small garden there. So things
I
like
know.
that, it's very and they really take it up and do it, whatever is taught a little bit, and they come up with their own ways of doing things, and it's really heartening to know. And like I said, it's yeah, kids, it's absolutely 100%. I think they are our future, and I really take heart to think that if we could just, if anybody, a teacher, a parent, an adult in their life, if we could
Right.
just, we don't have to do much at all. If we just let them be that curious selves and let them be part of nature and be in harmony
Exactly.
with it and not stop them from doing it, that's more than enough. I think that itself will take care of everything, because they're intuitively connected to nature, and they do things. So I feel like as an adult, all you have to just do it, to let the child be, and just encourage the curiosity. And I think they'll be wonderful stewards who would take this forward in a beautiful way. So yes, I really feel that that stage of connecting with the children and talking about this is going to go a long way. Yes, as
Hmm.
adults we have to also get them into our things, but children are
Yeah.
very easily, they're adaptable, they take
Yes.
it up easily, and yeah, it comes naturally to them.
True, true. Agree. I agree. And that's why I feel that, it's very good. Like, I think it's wonderful to do these workshops with children because, I think at that age when you start, that, yes, you've set that base to, because then otherwise what happens is later there's a lot of unlearning, like how we
Yeah,
all have to do so much of that unlearning. And, so it's
yeah,
really nice to get them involved. In fact, even in our society, we had this, Green Champs group who initiated this thing of waste segregation. So they went to every floor to actually, demonstrate how waste should be segregated, what should go into what. So they actually got children to, do these plays because they would do it with so much of enthusiasm. And, and somehow we felt that, yes, when kids are probably telling people that this is maybe, how you should segregate, it will help the environment. So we just feel that the message, it just goes across
reaches.
better to the people.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's true. So I'll just share a comment. So we have this comment from Soumya Goel. So she's saying that sure thing, awesome, love the session. I think for sure thing, I think she's talking about enrolling for your workshop. So probably,
Okay.
she might be reaching out to you soon. Thank you so much for joining and commenting, Soumya. Okay, so Kalpana, now,
Yeah.
like since we've been talking about the mindset, and of course, we know that mostly people, they do try to do their bit, but then there's also this mindset issue. I think somewhere some people have this ego, I'll do what I want to do. I remember once, I was telling somebody about same thing, something, it was like the waste was being disposed on the road and all, and the person was like, this is not your father's road, or that typical dialogue. And so there is a section of people who do, still don't feel that this is an important enough thing to, focus on. Matlab, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है ना, life is not changing, and they don't realize, like you said, that that we are not doing any favor. It's about us, and it will someday come and hit back, to, I mean, it's only the humans, ultimately, who will really get affected. So what is your sense, because you are talking to so many people related to this. So do you think that slowly there is a positive change with respect to, the mindset of people or the kind of attitude they have? What is the sense that you get, that are now people realizing, the importance of being more mindful towards our environment, or, this eco-friendly lifestyle?
Okay, so yeah, actually, like you said, there is a big section of people who are still not very,
Right.
like you said, who are you to tell me, or I'll do what I do. So that is there is a section, but I felt like, there are more of those kind of people that we come across than the other kind that we want to see. But it was only after I started my workshops and classes, and when we have the session of introducing ourselves and in the group and all that, and then I realized there are so many of them who are so like-minded, so much like me, and how I was in the beginning of the stage, and how I was looking for things, and literally everything that I wanted to do, and they are so concerned, and they are like, our children's future and our own future for that matter. We can't live like this. We can't let the earth be like the way it is today, and and things like that. So when I started interacting, and with my every batch of participants who come and go, I've been more and more, it's been heartening to see that there is definitely a change. Before that, it was a little bleak for me, even for me to just see a few people commenting, very carelessly and crassly about it,
Yes.
and I would really feel, okay, what is the point? And how probably there's a very small percentage of people who might maybe feel very strongly, and the others are just living their life as they want. But as I conducted my workshops and I started seeing people up close and started interacting with them, I'm really happy to say that I can tell you for sure that there is a positive change definitely happening. It is started, so I know that the wheels have started moving, I would say, and there is a lot of change, and compared to how it was a few years back, I think there is a lot more positive changes that are happening. I see a lot of people who are interested in all the things that would make life better for them, and people are actually somewhere, like you said, the kids are intuitively into it. At the same time, I know our generation who has lived a fast-paced life, this rat race, I don't know whether we are rats or something to go through the rat race, but we have
Right,
been running,
right.
running, running. But then I think at some point, they also reach a stage where they are fed up with all this, and then they want to go back.
Correct.
Go back to nature, and because that connection with nature, when it is lost, you feel that void somewhere
Hmm.
it starts, and it can happen at different stages for different people. Some might feel early, maybe feeling it early, and some little later, but that is really happening. That happens if you let it be, and it will hit you one day that you want to get back to nature and have that connection, because that's what feels a little off in our lifestyle.
Right.
So people are getting there, and now there is a much more changes. And I think another very important thing is this COVID has really shined the light on the actual things, the important things in life.
Yes, true, true.
You can't take life for granted, and you can't just do whatever you want, and nothing will happen. It's not like that. Everything came to a standstill, as we can see. And I think it's again an eye opener for us to live more consciously, and not take things for granted anymore. So I think, yes, definitely a lot of positive changes on our way, and
Right,
I see a lot
right,
of,
right.
I'm very hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah, and good to hear that from you, because yes, that gives us hope too. And Kalpana, you have had a journey. I'm sure you've had so many high points. This kind of a journey. It is. I have known some of your high points, and some, of course, would have been some moments of deep satisfaction. I'm sure there have been many. But looking back today, if I ask you this, that which are those particular moments which come to your mind first, that something which was like a high point for you, or even a moment which really gave you a lot of satisfaction about having chosen this path. Do you remember some of such moments specifically? And I would like to hear about those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are so many that I don't even know where to start. That is how
And I
I
think
would
one
like
we
to.
shared together last year in the month of November at the Karamveer Chakra. But yeah, I'm sure there have been so many otherwise as
Yeah.
well. Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that is what keeps us moving forward in this journey. Those high points are the ones which really tell us that, okay, you're on the right path and you're doing something. Maybe
Correct.
even if one person is positively impacted by that, and you
Yes.
feel really happy.
Yes.
So so that's something. So now the first and foremost thing was, of course, for me to just see my own farm flourishing from a barren land to what it is today, right? So when I really look back at it's so surreal for me to look back at the 2016, or the picture when it was completely barren and there was nothing there, and then suddenly how it is today, to because we kind of lose track of that. We when we are moving ahead, we don't see those milestones, right? We just because it's like, everyday growth for us. So when you just do the stark comparison between then and now, then you really feel, how grateful I am for, the whatever has it is I have today. And of course, compare relating to others in the, those who have been part of my workshop, and then they come back and they say, the comments, the feedbacks that I get, like they were able to actually, they keep telling that I have attended so many things so far, but I was never able to move past this particular point. And and after this, I'm now, and some of them say, I've completely switched off to natural cleaners, and I'm like I've not bought one commercial cleaner since I did your course and things. So these are the things, right? With gardening, they show me their garden setup. Some of them have huge backyard gardens, and
Wow.
some of them have small balcony gardens. Some of them are even they're growing some herbs, and some of them they say, just because I grew some plants, there are these songbirds which are coming every day, and I'm so amazed. I'm so happy. It's because of the gardening workshop that I could actually see. There are a lot of other indirect benefits of having that, and people having this mindful peacefulness when they grow. So it's
Right.
not just gardening is not just to pluck the tomato and put it in your curry. It is the process itself, putting
Yes.
your hands in the dirt, connecting with the
Right.
soil, seeing the seeds sprout, and like the germinate. And when I see the first time beginner gardeners, when something starts sprouting, they'll post pictures and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe, it's
Yeah,
growing, it's
I'm
sprouting."
sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's beautiful.
yeah, that
Yes.
joy is so evident. And when they start looking at it fruiting and flowering and all that, right? So the stages of it, and just being with the plants, and nurturing the plant and taking care of the soil, that itself, I think, more than it giving you something in return, in terms of something substantial like a produce, it
Right.
is the experience that that gives you so much of peace. It is actually a byproduct of, it's not the main thing, might be making growing your food, but the major impact is on your mindset, on your on your soul, basically, that you're actually so satisfied, you're so peaceful, you're so calm, you're so connected. So all that the gardening gives you. So I think those
Correct.
are the moments when they share these heartfelt things, and you can see their joy literally through those messages. That gives me so much happiness. And maybe when they buy my personal care product sometimes, and they say something like children are maybe suffering with dry skin or some
Right. Right.
eczema and things like that. I never even promote any of my soap saying this will cure this or do this or do that. Nothing. It's a handmade soap, it's natural. I'm making it from scratch, and there are no chemicals. That's it, right? I'm not
Right.
promising that it will remove your acne scars, it will make your skin light or nothing. This is natural. That's all I can tell you. I'm not promising anything else, right? So I'm just giving you a very natural product to use on your skin. So that's all I do. But when they are the ones actually who come and say, I use this and this happened, and it's like a miracle thing, a miracle cream, or something which I've been struggling with this for so long, and this has really cured it. And I'm like, what did I even know? It's basically natural ingredients. I think the only thing is that
Right.
they are minus chemicals. That's all. So
Yeah, exactly. I was
which
about to
means
say.
that whatever is there in the market is so much in it that it is actually
Imagine.
causing problems for people. So it's really mind boggling. So things like that. And when the children actually, when they say, auntie, I want to grow up and become a farmer like you, or I want to grow there. I mean,
How
those are
cute is
like
that?
really, I know that really warms my heart like anything. So I think this would be some of the high
Lovely.
points. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sounds so like it made me happy to just hear this. So I'm sure it gives you loads of, that I think it just makes one feel that okay, so what I'm doing is really, worth it. I think at the end of the day, it gives that feeling, and that is truly, unparalleled kind of an emotion. So I do understand.
Yeah.
Um, I think Kalpana, I have this 3H concept, that if you really are doing something and you are totally, I think the example for it, hard work, honesty, and humility. I think your hard work, your honesty towards your work,
Oh
and
wow.
of course your humility, I truly feel that not just sustainable living. I'm sure that even on that front you have inspired not just me but so many of us today who've been watching the session. So before we end, any last pointers you want to add on sustainable living? Of course, you did talk about how the little things we can do, like say carrying our own bottle maybe, or maybe your own bag, anything else, like something which you feel is probably easier to implement on a day-to-day basis? So anything else which you feel that is an option? Sometimes people don't think of it, and then they realize that, okay, yes, probably this can make a difference. So anything else you would like to add to what you already spoke about?
Okay. So the simplest thing, of course, apart from like what I've already said, I don't want to repeat the same points because those are the
Yeah,
small
of
things
course.
that you can do, replace in your lifestyle. Apart from that, there are, of course, like you said, composting is one thing, so waste segregation, gardening, and all that stuff is, of course, part of your sustainable living. Apart from that, there are simple things that we can do. Is like I was telling you, do a small audit and think about buying local and seasonal. Because this is a very very simple thing I would tell
Mhm.
you, because
Yeah.
basically you're just buying, whether you are buying from here or there does not matter, but when you buy it from local sources, you are going to benefit in three ways. Number one, like I always tell them, be selfish about your own health first, right? So
Yeah.
that's where I think people will be more motivated towards doing it because it's directly impacting them. So I would
Right.
always say that. So
Right.
when you're buying something which is local, number one, you're getting a produce which is locally grown, which means it does not require a lot of preservative or a lot of preservation techniques that has to
Mm.
to
Mm.
increase the shelf life of that
Right.
produce, right? So it comes directly from some farmers from nearby, and so that is going to be less chemically treated, right? So this is going to be healthy for you, definitely. And whenever you buy something seasonal, it has a lot of nutrients packed in it. It is not lost in the storage period, so the longer it is stored, the longer it is kept on the shelf, and longer it takes it to reach you, so much of nutrient is already lost in the process. So the more you buy the local and seasonal, it's going to be helpful
Mm.
for you. That's a small change that we can do.
Yeah.
Second of all, you are actually cutting down, you're helping. How are you helping the environment? The number of energy miles it carries to get an avocado or a Washington Gala apple from US, it
Yes.
flies over and comes here, and then it is
Right.
traveling to
Right.
your particular supermarket, right? So the
Mm.
more number of, it has a lot of energy miles on it, which is again, it's a waste of energy, a lot of carbon footprint there. So that is one thing. And again, of course, the more longer it takes to reach you, it's literally nothing left in that fruit for you to really have any nutrition. Plus, it has a
Yeah.
lot of loaded
Right.
chemicals, preservatives in it. So all that is there. So, and third thing is, of course, you're helping the local economy, and you're
Mm.
helping build your own community. Helping your own local farmers rather than you're helping a bigger chain, a millionaire become multi-millionaire. So instead of
Yes.
that, you can actually
Yes.
be
Yes.
helping a small scale
Yeah.
farmers, small grocer. So I always tell my participants or whoever is in the program to see if you can switch to whatever is your current grocer or place of buying,
Mm.
any supermarket or anything, move to a local. Can you switch to a local, right? So always
Right.
do these things. So in your list of things that you always buy or procure, whether it's milk or anything else, regular groceries, can you
Mm.
move to a local grocer or local farmer, visit your farmers market and things like this? Are all going to take a little extra effort because it's not one stop shop like
Yes.
supermarkets, because
Yes.
that's how they have built their business to
Correct.
for our
Correct. Correct.
convenience, because we are very lazy beings, we don't
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
time, so things like that, door delivery, all that has actually happened. But
Right.
okay, and not now, maybe during the COVID times, but at least moving forward, if we could take this little steps, I think that's a huge step in we don't look at local, seasonal and native as a sustainable option, because that kind of, I think it skips our mind, but that
Yes.
is something that we can do, which is going to be a of it's threefold benefits it has. And
Definitely.
apart from that,
Mm.
like of course, like even switching to your stainless steel dabbas, which was always our cultural thing, right? We had stainless steel always, and we have moved to Tupperware and plastic dabbas and all that.
Mm.
So I think these are small things which, going forward, if I always say, it's not like you just go and dump all your plastics out and say, oh, okay, my house is now plastic free. That's
Ah.
absolutely a very irresponsible thing to do.
Right.
You have
Right.
what you
Right.
have. You can't undo things. We have bought some things which we did not know earlier was good for us. But what I
Right.
always tell
Right.
you is, moving forward, keep your options open. Try to see if you can get something different
Yes.
this time. So that is where like simple things like switching to bamboo toothbrushes, which can, because we almost every month, every other month, we buy a toothbrush. So there are all very very simple implementable things that we can do to
Correct.
bring about a change. Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
That is
yes, yes.
something.
I think those are really helpful points and definitely can be implemented. In fact, nowadays there are some really good eco-friendly stores also, right, for certain
Right.
like buy eco-friendly products. So I
Yeah.
think yes, definitely options are also there, and you can learn, from Kalpana and other people like her who are working on this area. So yes, I think a little bit of effort and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah,
And
I
as
think, and
Kalpana
also
said,
like become a producer in small areas.
ah,
Producer in the
right,
sense, not that's one thing I really want to tell, because we've been so used to being consumers, right? Everything I want to just buy. Can you just sell it to me? I'll buy it. I don't want to take an effort to make even a small thing at home. We were all, I think, DIYers. Growing up, you see our moms, and that generation was all about doing it yourself. Small works, carpentry, plumbing,
exactly.
everything they would,
I want to tell you
do all
exactly
this.
the base. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Here,
small things.
हम लोग खुद ही बनाते थे. Like it wasn't like everything was available, like in
Yeah,
store.
right.
That's
So,
absolutely
so becoming a producer in any small areas in our life itself is a big thing. And I know it won't, it's not for everyone to do that. But then when you become a consumer, also be a conscious consumer. That's what I would say, because all of us are definitely going to be consuming a lot of stuff. But if you could just be a little more conscious about where your hard-earned money is going, is it actually benefiting you, or are you just following a trend and buying something which is
correct.
neither
Right.
helping you, or not helping anybody else in that process, right? So, like I mentioned about that. So, those are the things. Becoming a conscious consumer, because I think becoming a producer would be a little, far-fetched dream for some of us, but at least becoming a conscious consumer is something that all of us can do, and that is something we should look at.
Right. Right, right. Agree completely. Thank you so much, Kalpana. I think this was because I have known your work, but I think just hearing you talking about it and about your thoughts, it has been such a pleasure. So thank you so much for taking our time and enriching us so much today.
Thank you so much for the honor. Thank you for having me here. I loved talking to you, and sharing whatever I could. So yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
thank
yes.
you so
Thanks. And
much.
thanks to the audience who joined us, who have watched us. And of course, the video will still be available even post the live on my page, and it will also be up on YouTube. So
Okay.
thanks once again. And I'll be back next week with the episode 9 of Vichasthal. And just to let you all know, this was a limited episode plan at the beginning, though with the feedback that I'm getting, I think very soon I will definitely come back with season 2. But yeah, but this particular series is going to end soon at episode 10. So we have 2 more to go. So yes, see you next week and bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.